Hola, audiencia, y bienvenidos. Hoy Dímelo Cinema Club. I'm tonight's host, Jason Ishmael Echoes. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by my illustrious panel of co-hosts, Michaela and Steve. Hey, Michaela and Steve.
Hi.
We are reviewing the 2006 film Volver, starring Penelope Cruz. Let me tell you why I picked this movie. It is on the 1001 greatest movies you must see before you die list. And so it's sort of been on like my long slash short list for a long time. I figured I would have got to it by now, but like, I think I've tried to pick it for Cinema Club because it's in Espanol. And either maybe I've tried to pick it and like we went in another direction, or like I posted it and nobody wanted to see it, or I just went another direction. But as I was scrolling through like the list of movies I wanted to see, Penelope Cruz eyes just like hit me. I'm like, you know what? You win every time, Penelope. So I had to pick it. She's gorgeous, and it was a easy choice. Also, this director, we haven't seen a ton of his work, but we did see one of his other movies, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, which was really good. It's one of his earlier works. Uh, Pedro Al, Steve, maybe I'm struggling with his name a little bit. Pedro
Almodovar.
Almodóvar. Yeah.
Almodovar, yeah.
Um, so that's really why I picked this movie, and I'll save my first impression for last. But I'll let you guys fight over who wants to give their first impression. Unedu.
I'll go first.
Sure.
Um, First of all, it's not Volver,
Volver.
it's Volver,
Volver.
which is Spanish for come back. You know,
Mhm.
and if you were following the storyline of this movie, if you've seen it already or seen a little bit of it, it's talks about the people that are coming back, and especially the major plot line, which I'm not going to necessarily talk about right now in my first impressions and not spoil for anybody. But I would say this film uh, was for me was an easy follow because I am a native Spanish speaker. So I didn't have to struggle with like reading subtitles or none of that. I understood everything fully. Uh, but I did had a bit of issues like at first in the beginning, just like following up certain things. And with the person that I was watching it with, is a person that's a little bit sensitive to sounds. And that person was getting annoyed every time they were kissing in the film, which
Mm.
was a lot. There's a lot of mwah, mwah, saying
Yeah.
hi and doing, the Spanish way of saying hi. And yeah, so that was quite something to watch that. And then also, when there were like very heavy scenes, which were a lot in the beginning and stuff, as far as like action stuff and like psychological things and stuff like that I'm not gonna mention yet. Uh, that was also difficult for the person that I was watching it with. So that was also quite a sight to see when all that stuff was going down. But overall, I've never heard this movie before. I thought it was interesting. Like the plot line itself was very interesting. Maybe at least for me, it's just for me. Like I think the plot is very interesting. I definitely think Penelope knocked it off the park. I don't know if it was the ensemble but I think personally it was just like the way they story told this, especially in the first third of the movie, I guess. But I feel like it could have been stronger, uh, just because of the subject matter. Um, yeah, there were just like a few things that felt a little bit weak and at Bernie's to me, just to me. But just like in the way that they were just handling the body and whatever. Um, it left me with some questions, which I think I'm going to get answered during this talk and stuff. But overall, I think it's a great film. Um, and yeah, it's cool to see Penelope Cruz like act in stuff from where she started, like in Spain and stuff, because when she moved to the United States, she's featured a lot of like the beautiful girl and stuff like that. So like certain things don't necessarily give her the opportunity to show her acting chops. So for example, when things were getting dramatic and she was crying and everything, I was there. Like she just had me hooked. She has those eyes. She has that. There's a lot of male gazing in the film too, which, to be honest, helped me put the attention in the film. But there was a lot of it, like very noticeable. Anyway, those are my first impressions.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Michaela, take it away.
I have seen this movie before. I saw it, I want to say like maybe not too long after it came out, or maybe a couple years after it came out. I don't remember, but it's like it had been a couple years, I think, since it came out. So, because I remember I rented it and watched it. Pretty sure it was like a DVD that I got from Netflix back in those days. So it was long enough ago that it was that. And I remember loving the movie at the time and being just stunned by it. And when I turned it on, I realized, I was like, I don't remember shit about this movie. I just remember how it made me feel when I watched it, which I felt very like affected and really thought like, wow. And so I felt like kind of a brand new baby watching it again. And I haven't seen any of Almodovar's other films. I wasn't here when you guys did the other film, which is on my list. I want to see it. And I've been recommended his films many times over the years. And I've always written it down. I'm like, I got to see that. This is the only one I've seen. And I think it is superb. I feel like this is easily one of the best 100 movies I've ever seen. I would easily put it on that list. It's just like, I think it is a masterpiece as far as what it does with story. The filmmaking is so beautiful. Her acting is so incredible. Her daughter's acting is so incredible. I was just like, I thought but the story, it's like the story. I told John, because John kind of came in halfway through and was like, kind of watching it while he was eating. And I was like, you can't just fall into this movie because there's so much that's happened. And I was trying to explain it to him. And I was like, this is one of the most convoluted, not convoluted. It's just one of the most stacked, dense storylines I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it's dense. There's a lot that happens in 2 hours. And like, there's so many things going on in the plot. And it's like one thing after the other, like heavy revelation, heavy thing, big thing, it's just like a lot going on. And the movie a lot of movies are a lot simpler and they don't need all this stuff. And a lot of times I watch movies that have plots with a lot of information or a lot of things that happen, like the way Volver does. And I'm like, oh God, it was just like too convoluted, or just, it was too much and not done well. But I feel like I was like, he is a master in telling this story that has a lot of information and a lot of moving parts and a lot of different things, a lot of different characters. And it kind of all comes together in the end. And it's just like done so well. It's like a soap opera almost at times, with like how much it has going on and how dramatic things are and how heavy they are. But it's just done so artfully that it doesn't feel like I'm being slammed with information. And I think that's a very difficult thing to do. I would be overwhelmed as like a filmmaker. If I got this script, I would be like, how do I do this without doing it in 3 hours? Because there's just a lot. But I think he just does it so well. The characters are like really strong. They're all really strong actors. So it just like had a really nice flow. And I think that's, for me, why it's one of the best films I've ever seen, because it's beautiful to look at, great acting, and an immense story that doesn't stop coming, but doesn't like, and it was affecting me deeply. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like this other crazy thing. And this is crazy. And like, this is a really cool thing, but it wasn't like overwhelming or suffocating for me as a viewer. and I was sucked into it, and I could not take my eyes off the screen. I mean, I do have to read the subtitles, but like it was, I was engaged the entire time. So that's my first impression. I think it was incredible.
Very cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's great. Some of the stuff you just said actually cleared up some things for me in my mind. So very helpful. I do really like this movie. I like it a lot for a lot of the same reasons Michaela talked about. Like when I was watching it, I kept thinking like, wow, this is such like simple filmmaking. And now that Michaela mentioned that like it is kind of you're right, convoluted's not the right word. I don't have the word either, but it's such like if there's so much going on in the plot and there's so many sort of twists to the story and it's sort of been peeled back in a soap opera kind of way that you're like this thing needs a really steady hand as a director to kind of simplify this story for the audience so that we're not lost along the way. Because with all the stuff that happens, I kept thinking like, oh, wait, I'm about to get lost. And then I don't. And I don't. He kind of keeps the train on the tracks very well. Yeah. And then I also was thinking like culturally a lot about this movie. Like, oh man, like culturally, how are these people handling these revelations with like people popping up from the past and trauma and I kept thinking, like, how would other cultures handle this? How would, like, Black people in America handle this? And I'm like, well, I feel like this is all, like, pretty universal, the way all this is structured. What I really, really, like, kind of pinpoint doing while I watched the movie was, it's like, okay, is this a story about trauma, about women having, like, generational trauma? Is this a story about, like, these women having, like, generational curses? Like, they're kind of being forced to, like, relive these same sort of stories that like her mom went through and whatnot, and like he did say like nobody in our family like has any luck with men, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of been like a little bit of a theme with like practical magic we saw about a month or so ago, which I thought was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, all right, I kind of see where this thing might be going, but I did and I guess the movie's about all those things, but what really kind of like struck me and that I thought was kind of like cute and funny was like how community based this movie is. Like, I love that it's kind of like, it feels like it's in a very small town and everybody sort of knows each other and they're all willing to help. And like, they all sort of love each other and they all love Penelope Cruz. And when she's like in a time of need, she kind of like she finds a way to get everybody to help. And she's not completely honest, but she sort of finagles them, but they're more than happy to help because she's also helping them. Like, oh no, don't eat those cookies. Like, you're gonna those aren't good for you. Like, just give them to me. I'll handle it. I'll pay you for them. And they're like, oh yeah, of course. Why not? Like you're in great shape. You're Penelope Cruz. I'll listen to anything you say. What else should I do? I just thought, I thought all that was really cute. I like that. I like the filmmakers coming into town and her serving them in the restaurant and all that was like really cute and community based. I almost felt like we were about to get a movie like almost like one of those transient movies, like I think it's called like Chocolate for Love or Love for Chocolate, the Johnny Depp movie with
Chocolat.
Chocolat. And I was like, we're about to get like something like that. It's about to happen. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure, but I really did like this movie, man. And it is simple and it's cute, even though it's not. It's not simple and it's not cute, but they make it that way. And all the acting in it is really good. And the daughter did stand out to me too. I was like, wow, she's a really good actor. Like, I wonder what else she's done. I didn't look her up, but I thought she was great. Because I've never seen any of these actors before. Like, these are all like, European Spanish actors.
I looked her up. She's done like mostly just Spanish films. Yeah,
I figured that. And I feel like maybe I've seen the mother in something. Like, she kind of had like a familiar face. Maybe I've seen her and stuff. But yeah, they were all really great. And the other thing I was thinking about was like, to me, none of these other women are movie stars. And I kept thinking like, is Penelope Cruz going to be like the universe in this movie? Is she going to be like the center of the universe of this movie? She's like this movie star and she looks like a movie star. And like, she's obviously a really great actor. Like, is this thing going to like revolve around her? But everybody really holds their own. And even when she's not on screen, like, I don't lose anything. You know what I mean? And I guess like that's a testament to like I said, the acting and the directing, the filmmaking, and this thing's great. and I know it like got a lot of like international praise, and it should have. But yeah, those were my first impressions. I mean, I guess we have to explore like some of the ideas in the movie, that, like the trauma and the death, and there's a bit of, I feel like, betrayal in this movie. Like like I would feel like a little bit betrayed if like this happened to me. But she goes on to explain it, like what happens. But yeah, those are all themes that I think are really the center of the movie, and like we should probably explore some of those ideas. Um, so yeah, let's start breaking it down. Let's go into it. Like, so were there any like scenes or anything that stood out to you guys as sort of like centerpieces of the movie?
Yeah, I love the scene where it's early on in the movie where she comes home and the dad and the daughters killed the dad.
Hmm.
I really just love the way that was shot. It was, I mean, I think he's just he's great with shots. It was just done really beautifully. I like that she was like, we don't see the body at first, we hear what happened from the daughter, and then we get his body like last.
Yeah.
And it's not about him. It's about what happened in their relationship and everything. And so I thought that scene was really cool, done really well. Their acting was incredible, and it just said so much. Like I think you immediately learn so much about Penelope Cruz's character in that scene, because when the daughter says that the dad tried to attack her, she just believes her immediately.
Yeah.
And we've been like, as the audience, we also believe her immediately, because we've already seen that creepy shot at the beginning where like it's the dad looking up the skirt, which was
really well done.
Really well done. And then like Penelope Cruz with him at night, telling him she's worried about her aunt, and he's like jerking it next to her, and she's just crying, and like you see that there's something going on with her and him sexually. So like I didn't know immediately, oh, Penelope Cruz has sexual trauma. I just knew that she believed it, and that she just took it as truth. So I just thought that was really a powerful scene.
Yeah, I thought that was a great scene too.
Really well done.
Yeah, I thought that was a great scene too. I did think about that as well. Like, I was really happy that they didn't show like him actually trying to attack her in that scene, because like it really wasn't necessary.
It was so much more effective, because like the movie's not about that. It really is, I think, about the relationships between these women and generationally, and like you were talking about, like their trauma and how they handle their trauma and how they share their trauma, how they have moved apart from each other and come back, which is, I think, part of that meaning of the title, coming back, returning, is them finding their way back to each other. And I think like leaning on each other, because, we learn later in the movie that Penelope Cruz and her mom, that Penelope Cruz essentially wasn't raised by her mom, that she was raised by the aunt, because her mom said to the daughter, like, well, she wasn't actually living with me. Like she had sent away to live with the aunt. And I think also the dad, I think that the dad was there, which is why, she did say the dad. So that's when she must have gotten molested. So she didn't really have the strong relationship with her mom the way that her sister did, Penelope Cruz's sister. So much, because at first I was like, you take it as truth, I think, or I did, that the mom is dead, the grandma is dead, and when you see her, you're like, oh, it's a ghost. This is a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, I took that as truth. I was like, okay, it's a ghost and it's fantasy. And then, she's hugging her and you're like, what is going on? You're like, this is an interesting fantasy.
Yeah.
And then as things like start to unravel, like John even was like, I don't think she's dead. And I was like, I am confused. I was like, I think she's a ghost, but I'm confused why everyone can see her and like why she can interact with everyone.
I didn't know she wasn't a ghost until she popped out of the trunk, because I was like, that's comedic, and she's definitely not a ghost.
That was such a funny scene. I loved, but that was my favorite line in the entire movie, was when she was in the trunk and her daughter's like, you're dead. And she was like, okay, but still, like, let me out. Like, or she was like, whatever, it's fine. Like, just let me out.
Yeah.
It was like, that doesn't matter. I just thought that was so funny. It's like, okay, maybe I'm dead, but like, let me out.
Right. That was great.
Because she wasn't just a ghost. She was a Russian ghost.
A Russian ghost.
That's true. He was a Russian ghost. How about you, Steve? Any impactful scenes that you thought were like maybe a centerpiece of the film for you?
Yeah, like I concur with my fellow cinephile Michaela here. That like that particular scene of like the when she comes into the house and well first not even then like when literally from the moment the daughter is literally like outside in the bus waiting
Right.
like in the rain like something went down because we just got done seeing
Yes.
him being a creep and stuff.
Mhm.
So like from that moment something's on, and the fact that like that escalates to like I believe her 100%. She doesn't even blink or react to like this dude or whatever. It's like I'm here for my daughter, 100%. And then the added drama of like now the neighbors ringing the door, now someone's calling you on the phone, someone died, like all those things. It made that scene to me the best of the entire film because just so many added layers to it.
Yeah.
That it increases the drama and the urgency to like a full, you know, thing for me. So I would say that.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, like it just kind of makes you think like how much our lead, Penelope Cruz, is really dealing with in this story. She's juggling a lot, you know. She's juggling like the death of her husband, who's a creep, but it's still the death of her partner, right? Her daughter being like nearly molested, uh, like or right whatever. It's her mom, her sister, the friend with cancer, like and she's running around town. And she's like, well, half the income's gone, so now what? And then trying to juggle a business. Like, there's a lot, and because of that, and I guess because like my hustler spirit, I really like the scene where she's trying to get the restaurant going, like that whole stuff. Like that to me, I like a whole lot. I liked her like running around and trying to get like the food ready and figure out what she's going to cook for all these people, and her trying to hustle all this stuff on the street amongst her peers, amongst her community, and like I like the scene when the filmmakers are in there and they keep showing up because like, oh, this is a great place. It's right down the street from where we're working, and when the scene pops up and she starts to sing the song that her mother taught her, like I thought that was so sweet. I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps, and I was trying to like make that make sense in my head. Do I have goosebumps because this song is so beautiful and it's like it is the movie. It's literally the movie. The song, and and her mom is like waiting in the car because she just wants to see her daughter after all these like decades or whatever it's been. Like I really liked all of that stuff. I liked everything kind of centered around that restaurant and her trying to get that started. I know that's more than one scene, but that scene in particular. And then so I had to pause it for a second because I had to see if she was really singing. I was like, can Penelope Cruz really sing like that? And then
Right.
I had to pause it and look it up, and she doesn't. That's not her singing. She's
It's
like
really good
lip-syncing.
lip syncing though. Like
Oh, it was so good.
it was
'Cause
really good.
like once I unpaused it and came back, I was looking for like the lip syncing or something.
I knew, I didn't have to pause or anything, but
You could tell.
I mean, I'm a native Spanish speaker, so
Okay.
I can
I
hear
knew immediately just because I was like, if she sang like that, we would know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like,
Right.
I did look it up to confirm
Yeah.
because John was sitting there with me, and I was like, it's not her. But
That's a good point. There's no way you let a movie star who could sing that well not sing in your film. Like she would have sung in more films.
I was like, or she would have been in a musical or something. I was like,
100%. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but that was all nice. And like, so I guess like it was a little bit of everything. But once I found out that she didn't sing it, the goosebumps were gone. So maybe it was just the voice. I don't know. But the song was great and the voice was fantastic. I really like that sing a lot. And it was emotional because it's like that's the whole movie. And then her mom waiting in the car, like all that. And Penelope Cruz did a lot of crying in this movie, and she's just a wonderful actress. So
Really
that
is.
was
Yeah.
kind of like the centerpiece of the film for me, I think. Let's talk about some characters that you guys liked and identified with, or like you thought a lot of, or you thought well of.
Let's do it.
Who stuck out to you guys?
I think that the character, I mean, I think like it's hard to say that Penelope Cruz, I mean, I think that she was the character that I loved watching the most because she's
Mhm.
hard to take your eyes away from her when she's on screen. She's just so engaging and like magnetic
Magnetic,
and just
yeah.
really just like she's just incredible. You know, in this movie, I once had an improv teacher say that some actors, when they're in, you know, dramas, they're not necessarily doing the best acting, they're doing the most acting. And I do think that like sometimes you can do the most acting and also do the best acting. And I think that this is one of those examples, and she was doing the most, but it was also the best. Like it was really, really great. And that's a really great skill to be a person, to be a character that's this emotional and that's like on the edge all the time, kind of how she is, which makes sense for the character. And she does it very well. And she's so complex. There's like so many layers. And like when you find out about her childhood trauma later, or the trauma of what happened to her with her dad, when you find out about that later, it like, you really understand like all these other layers, you know, so
it does inform a lot.
And she's carrying it the whole movie. She's doing such a great job of like carrying this, and this complicated relationship with her mom and the distance between them. And like, you feel that, and you feel how it's like, there's a difference between her relationship and the relationship with her, that her mom has with her sister.
And men in general.
Men in general, yeah.
Even like the neighbor who tried to give her the key to the restaurant, he said like, well, maybe if you would have given the restaurant owner a shot and like him, things could have worked out. And she's like, oh,
Yeah.
But of course, like guys in town are trying to like talk to her, you know, they want to get on. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of like, I thought it was very informative, like to who she was in this community.
Right. I also like, there's two other characters I want to shout out. One is Augusta, who that actor was also fabulous. And that whole storyline is also just like, again, I mean, in the end, you're like, oh, it's all coming together. I understand the mom is alive and that was her mom that died in the fire. So it's all coming together, but it's like a lot, right? There's like a lot of story there. And a part of me was like, when I was watching it, I was like, man, you could lift out this whole character and this whole storyline and it, you know, but like, I still wanted it there. I still was enjoying it and engaged with it. And like, it was enriching. I mean, when I got to the end, I was like, obviously you can lift it out because it ties back into everything. But she was a great character, and I really enjoyed her. I thought she brought a lot of like depth, and like she had this kind of like spiritual feeling, which was really good because it really that whole like ghost stuff. So it made you as the viewer buy that maybe this was a ghost because she bought it. So, you know, because I accepted it as truth that this mom was a ghost at first. So yeah, I liked her. And then the other person I want to shout out is the busty whore neighbor. The one who's like, I'm going to make all the mojitos for you. And because I think it was like one of the funniest scenes in the movie was when she goes to her and she's like, can you help me move this fridge? And she's like, I'll pay you like a client. But it's before she tells her what she wants to do. She's like, I'll pay you like a client. She's like, oh, I didn't know you like to go muff diving. And like, okay, I'll give you a special rate. And she was just like fully ready to fuck Penelope Cruz.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this lady was a sex worker until right now.
Yeah.
And she's such a character. And I just like thought she was really fun and also added a lot of like richness and but like those like side characters, those women like did add a lot of richness to everything they were in. So, but she was one I really enjoyed.
Right on. Yeah, I feel like it's easy to say Penelope Cruz because of like, you know, her standing in the movie, and she is just like utterly magnetic. And you're right. Like, I guess I know I didn't notice that she's doing the most in the scene. Only because, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I didn't notice it, I think, because it's like, she is almost like, if she's on screen with any other human, you sort of have to look at her. She's just like
Yeah.
a grade A movie star. She looks like a movie star.
And when I say the most, I mean that, like, like she's crying, like who one of you said that she's crying and like,
Mm-hmm.
like so much during the movie. That's what I mean, like that she's super dramatic, but
Sure.
but it's also like necessary to the story and to the character, and she makes it really believable and real. So
Right.
it's like, she's
It is
fabulous.
a very fleshed out performance. And I like that you said, like, she's holding like the weight of like this whole story on her. And we see it when we need to see it, but she's still very much being a human and present. And it's not like, she just crafted a very, very good performance. And,
Mhm.
it can't be understated in a plot that's not simple, you know?
Yeah.
I like Augusta too, quite a bit actually. And really it was like you said, when she's telling like the ghost story, and all the women are in there talking, and I was like, yeah, that like kind of reminds me of a few things. And all these women, they want to believe so bad, and they're kind of like whispering, and it's like eerie, and it's this whole kind of like funeral type thing, and
Yeah.
and I like that's probably folklore and the lore of their culture and community, and like being Spaniards and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
all that kind of like hit me, and I'm like there's a certain level of like depth to that scene that I really did like, and she held that together very, very well. I
Yeah.
also like the mother quite a bit because she just felt like a mom. She felt like
She did feel
aloof.
like a mom. Yeah.
She had like that aloof mom thing, and like she's coming back, and it's all a very big deal. But she's also gone on and lived a whole other life. She never stopped
Right.
thinking about her daughters and whatnot in her family, but she lived a whole other life to sort of protect them as well and protect herself. And you know, she sort of comes back, and she also kind of has like this mom thing. Well, it's not a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
"Eh, I'm
Yeah.
here, you know. So like I liked all that, and I mean that's like sort of the comedy that we've seen or that I've seen in other, Pedro Almodóvar films. So that's like that's kind of like on brand for him. That style of character, I think. He's always got like the very serious character who is also like a little bit like aloof and funny. And she does that for this film. So I would say her.
Yeah.
How about you, Steve? Anybody stand out for you?
I mean, of course, I gotta shout out the god, the Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Doing it for that cross, because that's what cruz means in English.
Mhm.
No, she did amazing, and I also have to shout out the mom, just because apart from her come popping out of the trunk being hilarious, uh,
So good.
when she like got into the house, she just got on bossy mom mode and just started bossing her around,
Yes.
and that was also pretty fun.
Yes.
And also, and more importantly, at least for me and my sanity, uh without the mom, I can't figure out what the heck happened when they have like that scene that they're having the heart to heart and talking and going like, I just want you to forgive me because I didn't know about that this happened and everything. I'm like, oh, now I'm even more intrigued because now I know the backstory. But before I was just like trying to put certain things together of just like, wait, what? This is that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So I think one thing that we do kind of have to talk about a little bit is like what the story I think is about. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I might be right. Like like the three things to me that really stand out in this thing, I feel like is generational curses, these generational traumas that kind of keep happening to these women, and then also community and how because of that they sort of save each other, I think. Um what do you guys think about like how that subject matter was handled in this film?
I do think it's like the generational thing. That is what I think the movie is mainly about. Is I think there's the generational trauma. I think there's this other element though that's very important, which is like why that title return or coming back is why he chose that title and why that's the theme.
Mhm.
Because I think I'm like, how do I articulate this? When something happens to you that's traumatic, that a family member imposes on you, that it happens from another family member, it's really hard for you to forgive your parent or the person who's your protector.
Sure.
And I know that from personal experience because my dad was very abusive and my mom stayed with him for a long time. And it was very hard for me as a child to understand why my mother stayed with him. And then as an adult, you know, I talked to her and I understood it a lot more and I forgave her. But it's like a very, it makes you really angry and very confused. And I mean, you're not really confused as a kid or as a teenager or as a young adult. You think you know everything. So you think you understand the way the world works and you think it's very black and white. And to you, you're like, why weren't you my protector? Why didn't you stand up for me? So I think this, you know, it's already hard just to like have a normal parent who doesn't abuse you and to have that a good relationship with your normal parent. So I think like that element of it, it's really highlights it's a really like blatant way of saying like generational trauma gets passed down. But it like highlights that gap that gets formed and how like returning to each other, coming back to each other, it's like really takes efforted healing. I'm trying to articulate this right. Am I making sense?
Totally.
I haven't even had an edible yet.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think that that's like so much more of what makes this movie, what makes the theme of this movie like really visceral and really interesting is like once we find out, because I totally forgot about the fact that this thing had happened to Penelope Cruz by her father. I forgot the whole plot. So I was like a brand new baby watching it. And I was just thinking that, oh, she's just mad at her mom because her mom basically sent her to go live with her aunt and she's closer with her sister. And that's something that she's resentful of because I understand why a kid would be resentful of that. And so she's never been really close with her mom the way that she is with her mom is with her sister. And that's frustrating for her. And her mom is trying, that's why her mom's come back is to try to like heal that and to bring her closer to her. So to me, that was enough. And then when it was revealed, as soon as the mom says, I came back to ask for forgiveness, I was like, oh my God, she was assaulted. Like I just all snapped into place for me. And I was like, it must be someone that was close to her or whatever. So that I just feel like it was the way that he like really highlighted that, which is I think something that a lot of people relate to. And this is just a very dramatic and big way to portray that the gap that gets caused between, you know, generations, your parent and you, or your grandparent and you, or your grandparent and their your mother or whatever, and how you try to come back to each other because we're all pieces of each other, right? So like they're pieces of each other. So in a way, it's like it's healing for themselves to be forgiving each other and to like forgive themselves because they're okay. Someone else take over.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to start talking in circles, but I think I made my point.
No, you made your point, and I don't think you talked in any circles. But yeah, you reminded me. Like I keep thinking, like yeah, the movie is about you know, these traumas and generational, you know, things that these women are going through. But you're right, you know, and a lot needs to be said about like ultimately at the end of the day, we're talking about, you know, forgiveness and or betrayal, you know, or at least the idea of betrayal, and in some way maybe betrayal, I don't know, but uh, forgiveness and healing, and that's where like the movie generally like sort of takes you to. Like I think that's what they, you know, the point that they're trying to get across, and it is like really lovely to see. Like, you know, it's a movie which is like my favorite medium, and it all wraps itself up like pretty, you know, you know, pretty tightly
Yeah.
in about 2 hours. You know, whereas like this same story could take 3 years to develop on like a soap opera, right? Um, you know, or even like, you know, a couple years on like a series on like Netflix or something. But in this thing, you know, it develops over the course of like, you know, 100 or so minutes, 120 minutes, and we get everything. We get the full gambit because of like how fresh and how strongly polished this storytelling is. And what's also kind of impressive to me, and I think maybe the reason this thing won so many awards, I mean, it's awesome filmmaking, but this thing was also came out 19 years ago. And I don't think we were really having these conversations like in the mainstream 19 years ago, or, nearly 20 years ago. I don't think we were quite there yet, where like we were openly kind of talking about this stuff. I feel like these things kind of came a little bit more like apparent to us with like the advent of the internet, not internet, but excuse me, social media and
Mhm.
TikToks and Instagram reels and you know psychologists giving their point of view and scholarly people telling, their stories and everybody kind of like confirming it by like giving their point of views. And so like I feel like everybody is like a junior psychologist today. Everybody knows all the key trauma words and all that kind of stuff. But this movie, like if you wanted to know anything about this and explore this kind of stuff back then, you're gonna have to pick up some books and read about it and learn about it and try to get into like the psyche of these things or interview people. Like, these actors probably had like some work to do to try to understand this and come from certain places. That's what I'm thinking, like as a storyteller or artist or whatever. But
Mhm.
I think they all did such a masterful job. You know, I know 20 years ago doesn't seem like that long ago. It doesn't seem like this movie came out that long ago. I remember when it came out. I remember when it was like
Yeah.
winning awards and stuff.
Yeah, I
But I
guess I'm
mean,
just old.
yeah,
But
but I mean, like 19 years ago is like, it's a fair amount of time ago, and a lot has changed on this planet
Mhm.
in that time. Did you want to add anything, Steve?
It's Volver.
Did I say Volver again?
I'm I'm just
Well, there.
saying.
Great check. No, thank you. Like we owe the words and the language the due respect.
It's Volver.
Volver.
Um, since we're on the subject of what this movie's about, I just want to like say it out loud because I
Say it.
haven't gotten to do it yet because this movie I just watched it before and I was talking about how intense and like stacked the story is. But okay, like in the beginning, we learned her mom died and her dad died. And
Right.
then we see her aunt who's like senile or like losing her mind. And then we learn that she's not doing well. And we meet Augusta, who is going to take care of the aunt. And they have a relationship with her. And then she goes home and we learn that her husband's a pervert. And then he attacks the daughter and then they kill the husband and now the movie's about that. But then Augusta calls and the aunt has died and they can't come to the wake. And it's like this is what I mean where I'm like it is stacked. Like
Yeah.
it does not stop. And it's so much happening. Like the mom
The
dying,
mom
the aunt
shows up.
dying, the dad dying. It's like one thing after the other. Augusta asking about her mom, which you're like, Augusta, why are you worried about your mom right now?
Yeah.
Like, which keeps coming back until we get it at the end. And we're like, oh my God, that was brilliant. That whole time that she was the one who died in the fire. And like, that's what that was so
Yeah.
smart. But it's just so masterful to put that much in. Like it is a soap opera amount of shit. And to just have it happen, like I was like, there is so much going on in this movie. There is a lot.
Yeah.
I just like haven't watched a movie this complex and this dense of story in a long time, which is really exciting because I feel like a lot of times I see a movie nowadays and I'm like, that was a really great movie and it was very simple. And I really enjoy a simple story. I really do. I love a simple A to B, a simple story that's just really fun and done really well with great acting. But it was also really exciting to see something like this. And I think why I like a simple story so much is because so many times you see movies with a big, heavy, dense plot that are just clunky.
Yeah.
Or the plots feel like they're competing, or you're like, why was that in there? And I didn't feel like that at all with this movie. And it still was in 2 hours. And
Yep.
that's incredible. Like that is a huge feat. And it was beautiful. Like it looked beautiful and we've sang praises about the acting. So
Yeah, this thing could have been like you said, clunky is the best word. This thing could have been very clunky in a lesser director's hands. He really did handle this like a master.
right.
And it moves along. There's no dull moments. The plot just kind of keeps ticking. It's always interesting and it's neat and it's tight. And
Definitely.
yeah, it's just really good filmmaking, man, for a very, very difficult subject matter.
Yeah, it really makes me so excited to see more of his work because I've like I said, I've been recommended so much of his work for years.
Sure.
One of my good friends is a huge fan of his work and has been constantly saying, you need to watch this movie, this movie. So I've had all these films on my list for years, and this is the only one I've seen. And rewatching it, which a part of me was like kind of hesitant to rewatch it because I was like, oh, I've already seen this and I remember loving it, but like I've already done this. I kind of want to watch something new. But I'm so glad I did rewatch it because it was watching it for the first time for me, and it just made me really excited to see what else Pedro Almodóvar does. And I know he has like a huge cult-like following among people that are fans of his work, and now I understand why. I'm like, he's a really exciting filmmaker to watch.
There's a lot of movies of his on my list. I'm just looking at them, as you're talking, and like Broken Embraces, Bad Education, Talk to Her, The Skin I Live. So yeah, I mean, he had a movie come out last year with Julianne Moore, and Tilda Swinton, The Room Next Door, which I feel like that came out this year, but it says
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got like at least 5 or 6 just. Julieta. There's like 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 of these things that I just want to see, and he's been knocking them out since the 80s.
Like, yeah, like The Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I've always wanted to see, which I know you guys have done.
Yeah.
And All About My Mother. My friend has been talking to me forever about that, saying I got to see that.
Highly recommend Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I do remember all of us liking that quite a bit, and it's wild and very fast paced and funny.
It's funny because after I picked A Woman Under the Influence with Jenna Rollins, I was thinking, oh, I should pick that one next because they have similar titles. But you guys had already seen it.
Yeah, we had already seen it. But yeah, highly recommend. That's definitely something that probably should be on your list. Yeah, I guess we sort of wrap this thing up. I mean, unless there's something else that you guys want to talk about. All right, I guess not. So let's say we jump into final thoughts, gang.
Down.
Right, let's do it. We'll go in the same order that we came in. Steve, take us away.
It's Volver.
I love you, Steve. God.
I love you too.
You're so great.
And anyway, these are my final thoughts for Volver, not Volver, for all you gun enthusiasts out there. This film, like I said, without us spoiling y'all, if we haven't spoiled y'all already, it is quite the subject matter, and yeah, it's meant for you to be sort of confused throughout, but then you get a little bit of clarity. But did you though? Because a lot of people are saying, hey, the film's about this, the film's about that. You make your own conclusion. You know how you do that? By watching the film. And you know how you can do that? By supporting it online and watching it somewhere. Doesn't matter where you find it because it's not in theaters. But if you do find it and see it, remember that the pronunciation is Volver.
Volver.
And Penelope Cruz. Penelope Cruz does an incredible job. You won't get your eyes, off her acting, or off her boobs, because there's a lot of male gazing in this film. So
her boobs do deserve a shout out. I actually meant to shout out her boobs. Those are some excellent boobs. Male gaze or not, I enjoyed that gaze.
Those are some New York boobs, some perfect New York boobs.
New York.
Anyway, those are my final thoughts.
Very cool. Michaela, give us a final thought.
Like I said, I think that this is top 100 movies I've ever seen. I've loved it. I think that one of the other reasons I love this movie, I love the filmmaking, is it. I think that Pedro Almodóvar, from what I've seen of clips of his work and this movie, I think you could almost say he's like a little bit flashy of a filmmaker because he uses really bright colors. He loves red. He pops the colors a little bit. There's excellent production design, but it doesn't feel flashy in that it's not super stylized in a way where this isn't going to hold up. This is almost 20 years later from when this movie came out, and it looks like it could have been released today, and it holds up really well. So that's also expert filmmaking, in my opinion, that,
Mhm.
you know, something isn't so yellow or so like it doesn't have or it's not so perfect or so shiny. This movie just feels like I really got lost in it and it doesn't distract me. So I also, that is a filmmaking style that I love. And I think that's why, one other thing that I love about it that makes it one of the best films I've ever seen. But my final thoughts are, it's a great movie. One of the best I've ever seen, like I said. Love Penelope Cruz's breasts in it. A couple times I actually paused it and I was like, she is so hot. It's crazy. Like, she is such a good actor, but she is hands down like one of the most beautiful women alive. Like, she's just so beautiful. So if, you know, I'd say that this movie is for people that if they're like, I don't speak Spanish and I just want to look at a hot girl, I'd be like, you can watch this movie because you're going to get that. And you don't even need to understand it because it's going to be so great. You can just stare at her the whole time. But this movie is also for people that want to learn about Pedro Almodóvar's films, and anyone that wants to watch just a good fucking movie. I laughed. I was moved. I was scintillated. I was on the edge of my seat. It had like elements of a thriller at times. It felt like a thriller at times to me. So it was a very exciting film to watch. So definitely will rewatch this again. Even though I told John pretty much everything that happens, I think I'm going to rewatch it with him very soon because he was also very engaged with it with me. So definitely will be a rewatch and definitely would recommend. And I loved it.
Very cool. Right on. Final thoughts. I did really like this movie. I'm glad that we got a chance to see it and talk about it. I really do love this director. I can't believe I haven't seen more of his work. I mean, he's so good. I mean, just in the two that I've seen, and obviously I know the rest of his stuff is probably very good too. Yeah, this movie, it handles a lot and deals with a lot. And so, this is one of those movies that, I would recommend to a lot of people. I would recommend it to, women first. Pedro Almodóvar, he does a lot of movies centered on like female protagonists and stories that center around female issues, and he handles it very well, and with a very like steady hand. So I would recommend this movie to people who want to see like female stories with female like centered cast, people who are fans of him already and who have not seen this movie yet, for sure. Uh, would I see this again? Yeah, no, I would watch this thing again for sure. I'll watch the thing again. It's funny that you guys talk about the male gazing in it, because there was the scene when she's like doing the dishes in the beginning of the movie, and they kind of like focus on her doing these dishes for a while, but like it's like almost looking down her shirt a little bit, because it's like a top view. The camera's like looking down at her doing the dishes, and I'm like, no one's watching her do these dishes right now. No, and like the scene lasts for like probably 20 seconds. I'm like, no one's looking at these dishes. But let's be serious. Like, what's happening? But I'm happy it happened. Yeah, everything. The cast is stellar. The direction is stellar. I don't think there's a dull moment in this script or in this story, in the way that it's put together. Very good. The writing is very good. The dialogue is very good, even though I'm not, a native Spanish speaker. Yeah, it's like I said, the things that stood out to me are very much like more than I thought it would, even like, in a story that's about trauma and betrayal and healing and forgiveness, like the community. It was really a great thing about this like small little village, like coming together for like these moments. And I thought that was really cool. And also the village of a family coming together and finding some type of like family healing. And, that's very therapeutic. So in that regard, this movie might be triggering to some people, probably a little bit, but I think it's a worthy journey, to get to the end, to see that healing and, forgiveness is very possible with everybody. And I believe everybody deserves that. So that concludes my final thought for the movie Volver. Thank you guys for joining me. And Steve, what you guys?
Well, before we close it, I want to remind people that is Volver, it's not over. And I would definitely recommend this film, because I didn't say that, to women on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
I would too. It's a good point. All right. So that concludes Volver. Steve, what do you got for us next?
Next week, I am so glad you asked. So, we are going to add a new element into this new year of 2026 that we're approaching. Because I like to add little dynamics to the cinema club, And there's going to be times where it's going to be very tough for you, like unless you're guided by a list like Jason is, to pick a movie or choose that. So you're going to have an option where you can hug not one, but technically 2 weeks because you can phone a friend. But here's the caveat: that phone a friend, that person gets to pick that film, but that person has to come for a one time hosting the cinema club. So I'm
Fun.
going to have that for the very first time with my incredible friend from Switzerland is going to be hosting next week. And she picked a 2001's box office smash hit. That, by the way, we didn't talk about the box office of the last movie we just discussed. But
Oh,
that's,
yeah, that is a point. Can we just do that real quick?
I guess so.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but thank you for
On the
thank you for bringing it
cliffhanger,
up.
I'm like, I want to know. Okay.
So yeah, the cliffhanger, real quick before we get to that. So this movie was produced in euros, apparently, and I believe that the budget was like it's between 9 and 10 million euros to produce this film. I think it was like 9.7. I think it said, and it grossed internationally because it did very well. It won Cannes, won Best Actress at Cannes. So it ended up grossing 85 million worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Screaming success. Wow.
Yeah. Screaming success.
Okay, what's the 2001 box office hit?
So the 2001 box office smash hit is the one and only Somebody Once Told Me the World
Oh
is
my
Getting
gosh.
Older.
Have we not done
We
this
are,
yet?
We have not done Shrek.
How
we have
fun.
not done Shrek, but we're gonna hear the voices of Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and John Lithgow
That's right.
in
I'm
Shrek.
so excited.
Unless you watch it in another language, like I might do. But yes, that's it for us. For Michaela, Jason the Co-Echoes, me, Steve, that's TV. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
It's Volver, guys. Volver.
Okay.